team of journalists, activists, and researchers with three key missions. A commitment to show an unfiltered view of the before, during, and after of key events, live, as it happens. To defend the First Amendment using our rights of a free press. And to amplify the voices of underrepresented individuals including Black, Indigenous, persons of color, and the LGBTQIA+ community. Our team is committed to seeking equality for all and holding those in power accountable. The easiest way to support Malcontent News is to bookmark our website at malcontentnews.com, like and follow us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, and in the Google News app. To provide financial support, you can become a patron, make a one-time donation through Venmo, or link your Twitch account to your Amazon Prime account and use your free subscription to subscribe to Malcontent News. Thank you for supporting independent journalism and for being a malcontent. Good evening, Malcontents. My name is David. I am the Malcontent, and welcome to another edition of Malcontentment Happy Hour. It's already May. It is hard to wrap my head around that. Today is May 3rd, Monday, 2021. I messed that whole sequence up. Let me go ahead and pull in my amazing co-host, Jennifer. Jennifer, how are you doing tonight? Looks like you need to adjust your camera.
I'm like
there
frozen.
we go. And we have your internet connection appears to be garbage again tonight, but I know there's nothing we can do about it. We're 3.5 weeks away from being in the studio together. End of May.
I know.
Unless we crawl back to phase 1 and then it's all FUBAR, but that's a whole separate story. I don't want to get ahead of myself. How was your weekend, Jennifer?
It was busy and I'm real tired. In fact, I have on my workout clothes underneath this. So that's how my day's going. I usually have Mondays off, but I didn't today.
Today, real job today. And despite the fact that we had a ton of video already in the can, full confession on why we're a little and getting started. When I went to load everything up into the show, one of the show videos was not on the server. I went back into Adobe Premiere and it was just gone. It didn't exist. And I had to rebuild it all at 7:15. And it was just one of the most important clips of the night. At first I was like, we could punt. And it's like, no, I can't punt this clip. So Jennifer, we've got an update on Chocolati and the story out of there. So last week, an employee refused to serve an SPD officer. That employee has been fired. Chocolati has apologized to the Seattle Police Department. Of course, everything is politicized in this world. So some people are thrilled. Some people are upset. Look, I've said there's logical consequences. I may not agree with how all of this went down, but I would be a hypocrite if I were then to jump up and down and go, this is incredibly unfair, but right to work state. So that's why this went down the way that it went down.
Yeah, it's a really complicated situation. And I don't know. I feel like there was a lot of the apology to SPD, and Mike Solon's probably reveling in that. Yeah, exactly. Let's give him a little bit more. Let's embolden him a little bit more. But it's whatever. It's whatever.
Exactly. You've got a little bit of an update on something that Mayor Jenny Durkan actually said something.
Yeah, so the city of Seattle is easing parking restriction on RVs. The 72-hour parking limit was reinstated on April 1st. Seattle has started stricter enforcement, but it has been uneven. And Mayor Jenny Durkan has told officials to take a, quote, softer approach. No idea what that softer approach means, but it's something.
I guess it's something.
Yeah. Maybe.
We have it, right? I mean, we talk about this topic a lot, Jennifer. We have an incredible problem in this city where we have over 12,000 unhomed, third largest unhomed population in the country, and average home price is over $1 million now. Coincidence? I don't think so.
Yeah.
There is a house down the street from us, a really big house. They put it on the market for 2.15, and that's not thousands. And it sold the day it hit the market.
Yeah, it's insane. The housing market here is insane. Rent here is insane. That's not like even trying to buy a house. Like rent in the area that I'm in for the size of apartment I'm in is like right around $3,000. Luckily, I don't have to pay that because I'm a UW student. But rent is like absolutely insane in the city of Seattle. So.
Yeah, it is. Here in Kirkland, because I see this in the community groups, people just wanting to rent a room, and it's $1,000 a month to rent a room.
I know. That's insane to me. Absolutely insane.
It's insane to me also. Portland, Oregon had its driest April in history. And when we think about Pacific Northwest and April, that's saying a lot. Seattle had one of its driest Aprils in history. Less than an inch of rain fell at the airport. Fire season is coming.
Yes, it is. It's the, caveat to being able to enjoy the sunshine. Yes, there's going to be sunshine and I'll get a tan, but everything's going to catch on fire.
I have a feeling we're all going to be smoking 4 packs of Marlboros a day come August.
Ooh, yucky.
Why is this so spicy?
All right. Whether we're looking at a big fire season, but we're also looking at an increase in attacks on aircrafts. In a normal year, it's reported that 150 to 160 incidents happens on aircrafts that require police involvement. So far in 2021, we've had over 1,300 incidents. It's
1,300?
1,300. Is it supposed to be 130, David? Or is it 1,300?
No, it's 1,300.
I thought maybe that was like a typo. My God.
No, you just killed our mojo. Keep going.
Air travel is only at 40 to 50% of pre-COVID level. Leading issues are anti-mask, political intimidation, and attacking politicians. What in the world is wrong with people? Flight attendants are starting to quit because it is becoming too dangerous to do their job.
But hey, we're the greatest country in the world. Fly in those friendly skies. I got my MAGA hat on. I drank a 6-pack at the bar. And I'm now ready to get on Spirit Airlines and look into the cameras. The TSA drags me off the plane.
Because it's my God-given right to not wear a mask.
Donald Trump's the real president. I bought these plane tickets with my stimulus money.
Yeah.
Oh, so you stole from the government because those checks didn't come from Donald Trump. We're going to report you to Donald Trump and let him know. Jennifer, did you get a chance to see the As Seen on TikTok video?
I did. Very
Isn't
impressive.
It amazing?
It's good.
Yeah, so there was a rap battle going on in Oakland, California, like 8 Mile. The user here is Frack the Person. I don't know if Frack the Person is I'm under the impression they are not either of the people that are rapping here. A Black Lives Matter person and an All Lives Matter person squared off, and someone got their asses handed to them.
Your whole Remy battle, you were like, privilege? No. White people struggle too. Crowd full of hicks was like, fuck yeah, we do. But this debate, the diversity will make your racist ass worried hippies put you on a corner, have your hating ass buried. But you literally said, what does skin color have to do with the court's decision? Well, 44% of all victims with darker skin are forced in prison and face time with no co-defendant for baselines like Otis Nixon for the same crimes us pale guys commit every 40 minutes. I worked in Oakland prisons where they caught 5 years on a weed charge on sole possession. That same day, I had a quarter they pulled me over with it. The popo was like, oh, you're white, so forget it. You weren't forced in the system to make a corpse your pigment. Cops' cannons only flash on whites when it's photogenic. You think men would get booked if they look like us? Say that shit in Oakland. Get shook right up. You think these cops would give them lead if they look like us? You think Oscar Grant would be dead if he looked like us? Notice the Bay. Fracchiavelli, the Bay Area's best one.
Damn.
Yeah. I was impressed. I'm not gonna lie, I was skeptical at first when I was like watching the video. I was like, oh, this is a white dude gonna rap. But it was good. It was very good.
He dropped like hardcore truth, and he knew his facts.
Yes. I always appreciate factually accurate rap. Like, that's my favorite genre. It's really not, but
anyway, something we found on TikTok. Jennifer, are we ready to start the real show with the land acknowledgement?
Yes. Malcontent News comes to you from Seattle, Washington, the occupied homelands of Coast Salish peoples. We are grateful to live and work as guests on these lands, the land which touches the shared waters of all tribes and bands within the Duwamish, Suquamish, Tulalip, and Muckleshoot nations. This land acknowledgement is but one small gesture in the ongoing working towards repairing and sustaining relations with Coast Salish lands, waters, people, and their other than human kin.
I was muted the whole time, wasn't I?
I think so. I couldn't hear you.
I have to get used to the new buttons. I was even thinking it's going so well.
Were you muted the entire show?
I can't wait to have a sound engineer in here. I'm so breaking the fourth frame right now. Jennifer, I'm going to restart the whole spiel, which is it's time to spam those hearts. Spam those hearts. Mess with the Facebook and Twitter algorithm. Let them know that there's somebody here that can't figure out how mute buttons work. If you are on Twitch, or YouTube, you can go ahead and write right now, hey, you idiot, if you touch that mute button again, I'm going to break your fingers off. And that way you mess with the algorithm because people see all of these comments to the comedy act that is going on. You can also let our mods and admins know that you love them very much because they are right now banging all of their heads against their collective desks or walls because, once again, I was muted. And with that, Rashi, this part two is just for you. And yes, I was talking about when I pointed, because people are like, we're talking about Yoda. I did see the comment. What I was talking about, if you're on Twitch, you can use our emotes, including the Yoda emote if you are a subscriber. All right, with that, Rashi, this is for you.
Okay, made some lighting adjustments. Thanks, Renee. So I have an update on some things going on in COVID, both locally and abroad. So King and 15 other counties in Washington state are facing potential rollbacks to phase 2 after not meeting the metrics to remain in phase 3. Evaluations take place every 2 to 3 weeks and are measured on hospitalizations and total case numbers across the evaluation period. In our area, it looks pretty definite. The King and Snohomish counties will roll back to phase 2, which of course will reduce dining and retail capacity and likely cause additional financial strain on already struggling small businesses and families. Sporting events, of course, are exempt from phasing restrictions. And as Inslee noted over the past couple of days, there will essentially be VIP treatment at these events for people who are fully vaccinated. So make sure you get both vaccines because there apparently are perks that come with that in our area. And recent reports are suggesting that a lot of people actually aren't getting their second vaccine. And that's for a variety of reasons based on a fear of, the side effects people have reported as a result of the second vaccine, trouble scheduling, and other seemingly minor inconveniences. So get your second vaccine. Other reasons that you should continue masking up, social distancing, and getting vaccinated is because certain people in certain places like Ferry County, like to hold super spreader events, which has catapulted them to the lead in the number of COVID cases in Washington state. They're having an outbreak, a recent 3-day-long event organized by members of the Fraternal Order of Eagles, who are ironically also organizing a drive-through vaccine, clinic, held this 3-day event that people said was perhaps like a protest against masking, an anti-masking protest, but they had poker and dinner and they were
karaoke.
Trying to recruit new members. And now they've had 106 confirmed cases since that event. 7 people have had to be taken to hospitals outside of the area, more hospitalizations in the area. And as of now, the Northeast Tri-County Health District and the Washington State Department of Health have moved Ferry County back to phase 2 as a result of this.
Jennifer, one of the things that sticks out at me on this story is it's to me, this is just such a classic example of rugged individualism and republicanism. I hate to politicize this issue, and collectivism and people on the left and liberals, because I've been frustrated, and it's actually one of the reasons why I drifted away from the Republican Party. Yes, once upon a time, a long time ago. Surprise, surprise. Republicans, what I find, it isn't a problem until it happens to them.
Yeah.
And Ferry County right now is just a great example of this. Screw your mask, screw your vaccine, right? Second lowest vaccination rate in the state of Washington. Now what state officials are saying, they're going, how can we get more vaccine out here? Because the state just started pulling vaccines out of these counties that weren't vaxxing up.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, how can we get the vaccines out here as quickly as possible? They're pissed at the Royal Fraternal Order of Eagles for holding this event that they went to.
Yeah. Also, I misspoke when I said it catapulted them to the highest number of cases. What I meant is it catapulted them into the news for, this massive outbreak. that they're having. So that was like my mistake. So that's what I meant by that. Yeah, but there's 106 cases in that small, I think it was what, Republic that it's in, that they held it in, Republic, Washington, which is very small. And so that's an extreme number of cases for that small of an area. But, you know, we're not just in trouble locally. We continue to have spiking cases nationally. And except for, you know, I guess California has had its numbers reduce some, even while it continues to grow in Washington and Oregon COVID cases. But the big problem continues to remain India. They now have this new double spike variant, but they're still facing the same issues with long lines for crematoriums, lack of supplies. It's in massive turmoil. They broke the case record over the weekend with 400,000 cases reported over the weekend in India. They also have 20 Indian states that are on the verge of like absolute lockdown. Australia has effectively banned any travel to India, but it's also important to note that it's not just India that's suffering. Nepal, which is, you know, very close by, as CNN reported, has noted a 1,200% spike in COVID cases since mid-April.
I can't imagine being in a country like Nepal, which is at such a high altitude to begin with, where I know I would struggle if I were there on a good day, and I'm in good shape. I just know from doing mountain climbing in a past life that 14ers are not in the cards for me because of my genetics. I really suffer when I get up to those altitudes. I can't imagine getting COVID when you've kind of acclimated to living your life with your O2 sat at 85% as your baseline.
Yeah. No, that would be insane. Or even like parts of, you know, Peru, right? Like where the altitude is so high as you get closer up into the Andes and down in that area. I mean, those places would be particularly, both because they don't have, you know, a lot of the rural areas don't have access to medicine. And I imagine Nepal to be the same. And so this is going to be pretty devastating to places like that. But I've noted too, when I was doing some research today, that other Southeast Asian countries are starting to put in like precautionary measures, implementing some lockdowns, because they're starting to see their own cases spike and don't want to go the same way as India.
Yeah, and the double spike variant I know has officials concerned, but they don't know.
Yeah. So
Jennifer, we're going to do a little pause for the cause. Thank you so much for that story.
Wear a mask.
And then we are going to go on to our next story.
Okay.
Which is like a story, like it's an Inception story. It's like a story in a story in a story.
Okay.
Gosh darn it.
Day.
Yay. Hey, Courtney, I've got good news for you. I found the mute button, and I need to stop holding my speaker notes over the flashing mute buttons. Courtney, I have good news for you. What that is you won tickets to the movie festival last week. So congratulations, and I've let the powers ye be through Renee that we need to figure out how to get the ticket to you. Please shoot me an email at david@malcontentment.com. Now, we're giving away a ticket tonight. To enter to win a ticket, you need to go to malcontentnews.com/contact-malcontent-news. Mods, admins, can you drop that link, please, to our contact form? If you entered last week, you can enter again tonight. You just can only enter once. But mods, admins, if you could drop that link again, it's the same link from last week, malcontentnews.com, whack. Contact-malcontent-news. You drop that link there. There's a very simple contact form. Fill out that simple contact. Why do you need my email address? How else can we notify you that you won? And how else do we get the tickets to you? That's why we need your email address. We will pick one person at random tomorrow. We will let them know who won. So that's all you got to do. And here's the other thing. Spam those hearts. Please spam those hearts because I'm feeling like a royal screw up tonight. So I need the love. And it also gives loves to our mods and admins. Let's go on to the next story. Jennifer, Saturday was May Day, and May Day is celebrated almost entirely around the world as a holiday. The United States is one of a handful of countries that doesn't recognize May Day. We'll save that topic for another time.
Yes, we will. We will not rat hole. We've had enough problems this evening.
Seattle has always had very significant May Day events. In 2020, there was no march. There was no direct action activity either. COVID essentially on May 1st had the entire area practically on lockdown at that time. Yeah. So there was really nothing that happened on May Day last year. In prior years, 2019, 2018, almost at the time, there have been thousands, if not tens of thousands of people that have shown up and marched through downtown Seattle. Typically, again, this draws thousands. May Day in Seattle typically has the Immigrants and Workers' Rights March first. And as that group kind of thins out, typically they march to Westlake. And then as that group kind of thins out, the insurrectionary anarchists start to kind of flow in. And then you have that chapter of the day. And in prior years, there's been pretty significant activity on both sides, on both organizations. And what we saw was some pretty subdued and muted compared to prior years. And Jennifer, I'm going to be real salty on one of these segments a little bit later, but we'll start with the good news.
Okay.
Or not.
By mid-afternoon,
before we get to our really amazing speakers that we have to you all today, I would just want to take a minute to acknowledge this moment. The fact that it's been over a year where some of us have not gotten to share space.
I especially want to thank all of the organizers of this event for inviting me to share with you the role of Asian Pacific America in building this nation and reminding us that the struggles of today are not new, but rather have been experienced by every racial and ethnic group since the discovery of America. Our struggles are intertwined by racial animus and by perceptions of economic competition.
And I think this is so important to say in Chinatown in the U.S. today, because what they call anti-Asian hate, as this moment of Asian hate, is actually a long legacy of anti-labor, anti-immigrant.
I want actions. That's what I want. Not today, yesterday. Not today, yesterday. Ahora, no mañana.
Shit getting hard in the yard all summer. Throw the book at you, just hoping that you catch it. Police tearing down the block like Tetris. Lie about the metrics, riot in a second. Pepper spraying flashbangs, getting us arrested. We ain't going down, no, not like that. Word to Nana and Asada, yeah, we gon' fight back. Knocking down the empire till it can't strike back.
I love the Star Wars reference in that rap. I actually didn't catch it on the live. I caught it in editing. I'm like, that is just so amazing.
Yeah, so it looks pretty chill. There's kids, there's people like, you know, being pretty chill, pretty peaceful, like having a little freaking music.
It was a much smaller group, Jennifer. The one I've gone to these marches.
Yeah.
Not as a journalist, but being involved in the marches. Of course, this was much smaller. King County Health was there passing out masks. I don't think they were actually really needed. The group got a little smaller. They bypassed Westlake and they went to the federal courthouse. And the reason that they went to the federal courthouse and set up there is because of all of the influence from the previous administration and how a lot of those rules are still in effect today and are impacting the immigrant population that is in our area. And if you don't think that that is impacting you beyond, they took our jobs, which they're not, farmers are utterly struggling to find people to work in the fields because, oh, that's right, most of them are undocumented workers, but we don't like to talk about that part here in America.
Exactly. And that just doesn't, you know, that's not just farmers. Like, too, I was talking yesterday in the our editorial meeting about like how this also fundamentally impacts horse racing, which I worked in for 20 plus years, because so much of that labor is done by I can't talk today. It is such a Monday. I'm so sorry. By undocumented labor. They're really reliant upon it to keep the industry going. And it's, yeah.
So it was a good event. And now we're going to move to part 2 of May Day. Jennifer, you're going to have to keep me on topic. That's why you have my speaker notes, because I could just completely go off a cliff on this one here.
Okay.
So even though you're not on camera, you can yell at me and go, David, enough.
All right.
We've said many times on here, we support diversity of tactics. And we have said at times, just because we're showing it doesn't mean that we agree with it. What happened on Saturday afternoon could be best called a Charlie Foxtrot. If you don't know what a Charlie Foxtrot is, go into Google and look it up. The first word is cluster, and the second word is...
This is written. This is written.
And yes, this is written to keep me on topic. So... who we call a Charlie Foxtrot. And you know what else you can call a Charlie Foxtrot, Jennifer? It looks like the printer actually ate a page of my fucking notes.
Okay. Well, I got the notes. So there were 14 arrested. Deblocking.
All right, I got it. I'm back on track.
Okay.
14 arrested.
Yeah.
D-blocking in the open in broad daylight, like really in the open. Some people were D-blocking by their cars. The event was advertised on social as supporting diversity of tactics and calling out bringing your friends and family. Now, I know if some people that were at that and set it up goes, on Twitter, it said, it wasn't just on Twitter. It was out on Facebook and it was out on Instagram, and it did not have the small print on those channels. But wait, there's more. At least 2 independent journalists were flat out assaulted. And we have receipts. I'm going to roll the first clip. This one's tough to watch.
Brian, uh-oh. Shit's happening. Oh, shit. On the ground. I didn't see, I'm sorry. They were moving too fast. Guess what? I'm on the sidewalk. I'm on the sidewalk. Oh! There you go, right there. He grabbed the umbrella for no reason. There's another one. There he goes again. I'm doing the clock! No, you're not! Yes, I am! I'm from here! Fuck you! I'm from here! I've been out of here every day!
Walk away from us! Walk away from us!
Get your camera out of here! For you!
Get your camera out of here!
But don't touch me! I am filming the cops!
Out of here, man!
I am filming
now!
the
You are a
cops!
danger to your community!
Don't trust converted media. Fucking lynch.
I'm not even fuck up. Apparently, I'm gonna get fucking harassed by you. Makes me question who you really are, actually.
So, Jennifer, I want to clarify for you and our audience. That's a completely unedited clip. You just saw the before, during, and after. Before anybody goes, you cut a part out. Because no, that was them flipping the camera from the front camera to the back camera as they were running up. That's what's going on because you can hear the click. And if you've ever watched streams, you hear the click when the camera switches around. And that's what was going on there. That individual, Jennifer, was doing exactly what block protesters have asked people to do since May 26. They were documenting the arrest. They were documenting police escalation because the police were grabbing the umbrellas and antagonizing the group that at that point had already given space to the police. They were assaulted. There's no candy coating what happened there on camera. That's assault. And they're afraid for their safety now, which is why they don't want to use their name. They targeted and allied any journalist. And you want, Jennifer? We're not even to the worst of it. Because you know what the worst of it is?
I know. Well, I'll let you finish before I say anything.
They were filmed all day long by somebody within Block. Black Block Katie Davis Court was with them the whole freaking time. And guess what? She shared her video with Cairo News. Let's roll that clip.
By mid-afternoon, the vibe of this gathering started to change. Many of the original marchers left this demonstration, and in their place were folks who were much louder and much angrier.
This is the Seattle Police Department.
What followed was hours of tension with Seattle police. Tonight, SPD supplied us with these pictures showing some of the things that were thrown at them today. Things got especially intense in Cal Anderson Park. Following a standoff, police moved in, making more than a dozen arrests and ordering demonstrators to move along.
Hallelujah! Holy shit! Where's the Tylenol?
And you know she has more video.
Of course she does, because she's a little troll. I'm sorry.
This is not a criticism of protesters. This is not a criticism of diversity of tactics. Whoever organized Saturday has no business organizing for this group. They are the one who is dangerous, not the independent journalists who were doing what you asked them to do. They are the one. Whoever organized that is the person who's going to get people hurt. They got roughly 20% of their group arrested. This wouldn't have floated in the protest community all the way back to October. And I got a reminder here. This group has had 2 incidents where they were sitting around talking about and having like a debrief on how things went. 2 incidents where there was an infiltrator in their group that was filming everything. Everything. One of those videos wound up on Como. The other one was all over social about 10 days ago. And in the first debrief, Jennifer, one of the organizers or somebody there was explicitly criticizing the group for going to the waterfront that day, basically saying there are no exit points. There is nowhere for us to go if Seattle police decides to kettle us. Now, Seattle police has never done a full-on kettling of protesters that I'm aware of from May 26, 2020 to date. What did they do? They went through Pike Place Market. And I'm not criticizing them for going through Pike Place Market, but there's no exit points there. And Seattle police, based on what we observed, were just looking for an excuse. And I am stunned that that group did not just get arrested when they were in there. Because if you were watching my stream, I had some very tense and terse words with Seattle police. It's going through there. And Jennifer, we have a third clip.
So now basically what's happened is the speeches have stopped over here that was originally going on. This group has moved into the same intersection, and they're now being watched by the Seattle Police Department.
We apologize for this inconvenience. We would not be around, but unfortunately, members in this group have committed multiple crimes this group may cause. Residents of Capitol Hill, come protect the neighborhood.
What they're chanting is all cops are Chauvin. This has been a common chant. So now what's going on is they're rolling out. There's that jump van. Remember earlier I was like, hey, there's a jump van. And there's that jump van. That was the one that I first saw that I was like, okay, something's going on. Because we've got a police jump van that's driving through. And so now what's happened is SPD, bike officers, and patrol officers, they have driven off. Down Stewart, heading west towards the water.
Hey! He's obstructing First Amendment rights. He's obstructing First Amendment rights. That First Amendment rights.
cooperating with us in stopping committing criminal acts.
Just like the whole.
Hallelujah! Holy shit! Where's the Tylenol?
The announcements are dystopian. It was just a total cluster, Jennifer. All of it was a cluster.
Yeah, I'm just curious, like, if you're gonna like de-block in broad daylight, like in the middle of the street, why are you so concerned about people filming? Like, are you concerned that they're going to divulge your identity and you want to do that yourself? Like, what's the whole issue here? But yet you'll let Katie Davis Court, affiliated with Turning Point USA, come in and film and not notice or care?
It's sus. It's flat out sus. Like nobody looked down. Like everyone knows their friggin' shoes. I could so just go down a hole on this for an hour, and I refuse to do it. I'm going to close with this, Jennifer. You know, instead of attacking allies or making baseless claims of people are fash, how about identifying the infiltrators that are inside your own group? Because quite frankly, it goes back to whoever organized this. You had a minimum of 4 infiltrators in that group based on the videos that you could just go out and find on social, which is 7 to 10% of the people that were there that day. This wouldn't have happened 6 months ago. This just flat out would not have happened. And if the Seattle Police Department pushed the protesters in block to the same intersection where the immigrants were having their speeches, shame on you. And if the people in block went to that intersection on purpose, shame on you. Because those are people that I thought you were supporting. Poor, exploited immigrants who are being exploited by capitalism, who came to this country to escape the shit shows that they're in. You ended their rally. They left. They packed up and left like that because they didn't want any part of what was going on. And I don't know if that was SPD or that was the organizers. Whoever did it, you're pieces of shit. How is that supporting the cause? Think about it. We're going to thank our patrons. Jennifer was crazy on May Day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like 3 separate stories out of May Day, or just one day. Around 10 p.m. in the evening, a group of about 30 protesters marched to the East Precinct. They were kicking it old school.
Yeah.
Police gave them a dispersal order, and they left. The protesters. They're kicking it old school. This is like back in the day. Protesters came back. They blocked the intersections of 12th and Pine. Several cars pulled up and turned around based on some Twitter videos and surveillance videos that are publicly available. And then this happens. Viewer warning. This is a kind of a tough video to watch. All right, Jennifer, here's what we know. The driver was released at the scene. They were not cited. However, we did speak to the Seattle Police Department today, their PR department, and we were told the driver is under investigation of the Traffic Collision Investigation Squad, but then we were also told that's standard procedure when anything like this happens. We don't know the condition of the protester who was struck by the car. There's 2 people that are hit in that video clip. There's one that's kind of glanced. We don't know the condition of that one. They did not show up at a hospital. They didn't ask for any medical treatment at the scene. The protester that was stuck on the hood got ejected when the car stopped. They complained about a head injury. They were arrested.
Hallelujah! Holy shit!
They were arrested for... I'm having a hard time saying this with a straight face. I'm not laughing because I think this is funny. I'm like...
It's absurd.
They were arrested for pedestrian obstruction under Seattle Municipal Code, reckless endangerment, and property destruction. Now, the one that I was like, reckless endangerment?
Yeah.
I looked up reckless endangerment on RCW. I didn't print out the code in our show notes because I wasn't going to sit here and read the whole thing on air. I don't know how they're getting reckless endangerment.
I don't know how they really got any of that, but okay. Like, okay. Okay, SPG.
This is why I'm like, from about 3 o'clock in the afternoon on, Mayday just evolved into a total cluster.
God. So ridiculous.
Of course, actions like this will deter future car attacks on protesters. There's been over 24 documented car attacks on protesters in Seattle. The trial for Dawit Khalid, who killed Summer Taylor and gravely injured Diaz Love, keeps getting continuations. We have no date on the docket for when the next hearing is for Dawit Khalid, who is out and about in the real world, awaiting trial.
Wow. Wow. I got nothing. Like, just so
it's hard to have something with this, right? It's just
so insane. Like, sure, go ahead and just plow into protesters. It's fine. We'll tell people we're going to investigate, and then we'll arrest the people you hit. You're good. Go home. Like,
so we have a story up on our website. There's some more information on there and some of the statements that we got from Seattle police. I know some people are going to be like, you're platforming the... No, it's called journalism, and it's called trying to get the complete story. Because one of the things we wanted to find out was, were they actually arrested and charged with anything? Because sometimes Seattle police, Joey Weisner, who was essentially detained over at the East Precinct when he went up to Sallyport, but then ultimately, I don't believe he was ever charged. You know, there was nothing referred over in that, and he never went to King County Jail for booking or anything like that. So that was part of what we were trying to figure out. And of course, the $1 million question, was the driver cited for anything, or was the driver charged with anything? We did find out there is an investigation going on, but Jennifer, I'm not holding my breath on that.
Yeah. Because those investigations are always so beautiful.
It is. I just... Okay. We're going to do a little pause for the cause. That was a short story. People know what this pause for the cause is going to be.
Potato scones! Sorry.
Black Coffee is a hub for communities and a hub for meeting people, making friends, and understanding.
What Black Coffee is to me is a place to actually call home, a place where Black youth will feel welcomed, where Black families will come and feel like they're at home.
What we're trying to build is more than just coffee. Community is something that we do naturally. We know who's in the community, we know what the deficits are, and we're trying to fix that. We want to bring people together.
My hope is that the phrase grounded in excellence shows up everywhere and that it becomes a movement.
I'm looking forward to hanging out at Black Coffee with my friends and feeling safe.
Black coffee to me means opportunity for people like me and my other friends and family to come here and do homework safely and hang out and stuff like that.
That is happening. It is happening.
Black Coffee Northwest is located in Shoreline, Washington, close to 170th on the west side of Highway 99. They have amazing coffee, great merch. I am totally getting up there on Saturday because they have these new cups. I need one. I have to get up there on Saturday. And they have, if you're new to the show and you're looking at the comments, what's the inside joke of the potato scones? They have potato scones and they're amazing. It's like the most fluffy, amazing scone. It's like a scone had a baby with a biscuit, and then like a good biscuit, and then that baby had it hooked up with a baked potato with cheese and onions, and they had a baby. And that's what a potato scone is, and it's off the chain. Go get a potato scone and support Black Coffee Northwest, which, by the way, Jennifer, was firebombed, I believe, 7 months and 2 days ago now, and no arrests.
Yep. Although I'm going to say you've started talking about the cup so much that I may have to shift gears and start giving you shit about the cup, not the potato scone.
I'm going to have my cup next week. I'm going to be like, see, I got my cup.
Okay.
All right, this is the time of the show. I want to remind you, please spam those hearts. Spam those hearts. We're a little behind schedule, and it's mostly because of this asshole's fault.
Watch the F-bombs. This is written. This is written.
Because I've had to redo like a quarter of the show tonight because I got better with the mute buttons. I don't want to curse myself. But go ahead and spam those hearts. If you're not feeling very spammy, you can say, I like it. You mess with the Facebook and Twitter algorithms to go, hey, there's some really good content here, and you should be checking out this amazing content. And with that, we're going to go to our next story. This is the Malcontent News Police Department. We are sorry for the interruption, but we have a liberal agenda. There are people in this group who are chuds and do not believe in wearing masks or basic rights and privileges to their fellow human beings. They have done awful things like try to overthrow the government. We are sorry for this interruption, but the news broadcast shall continue. I'm channeling DJ Elrad from the Seattle Police Department. Let me know how I did over in the comments. The comments. Tucker Carlson is a chud.
Cannibalistic, humanoid, underground dwellers.
These are chud. Cannibalistic, humanoid, underground dwellers.
And Tucker Carlson appeals to chuds.
It's a cannibalistic, humanoid, underground dweller.
His outrageous style on Fox has made him the most watched show on Fox News, which should tell you something about his audience. But on April 26, he changed his tactics. Instead of telling people what he thought, he told people to start to act.
We did give in. This grotesque version of Halloween went on for more than a year, and it's still going on. Not even Tony Fauci still pretends that masks are medically necessary. Instead, masks are purely a sign of political obedience, like Kim Il-sung pins in Pyongyang. We wear them because we have to. The only people who wear masks voluntarily outside are zealots and neurotics. How neurotic are they? Well, we know. A Pew survey from last March found that 64% of white Americans who classify themselves as liberal or very liberal have been diagnosed with an actual mental health condition. And you see them everywhere when you walk down the street in any major city. If you dare to go on foot from Union Station to the Capitol, for example, in Washington without wearing a mask, angry Biden voters will snort at you in judgment. How could you? They're saying from behind the gauze. How could you? That's the question we should be asking of them in return. The rest of us should be snorting at them first. They're the aggressors. It's our job to brush them back and restore the society we were born in.
I got something I want to tell you, Jennifer, while I snort at you in my disregard of your mask-wearing ways.
Hallelujah! Holy shit!
I can't, I'm frozen, I think. I'm stuck. We're all frozen.
So,
okay. I can't not laugh when I see his face because his face is so stupid it makes me laugh. And has anybody noticed his attention to his spray tan after Donald Trump became president? He's getting progressively more orange, and it's like there's no tone. It's like all the same tone. How the hell can you take that dude seriously? I can't not bust into laughter when I look at his face. I'm sorry.
Loompa, doopity doo. What kind of happens when you go spew? Look, Jennifer, his words in itself are dangerous, right? Because he's like, you should go out and he actually drilled down further, but I didn't want to platform him beyond that. Right? Because you need to go out and confront people. Well, last night at 8:45 p.m. on 42nd Avenue, New York City, between 9th and 10th. If you're not familiar with that area, that's Hell's Kitchen. That is like 1.5 blocks away from Times Square. This is one of the safest places in all of New York City. Tucker Carlson got his wish. This is a tough video to watch.
A seemingly random attack against a person of Asian descent in the city. The woman, who did not want to be identified, says she sensed something was wrong as she and a friend walked along West 42nd Street between 9th and 10th Avenues around 8:45 Sunday night. The 31-year-old says she was trying to get around a woman who had been acting erratically, who then told her to take off her mask before hitting her with a hammer.
I live here 2 years. I never faced this kind of thing.
So far, no immediate surveillance images of this attack, but similar ones have become a familiar sight on the news.
Jennifer, you're not walking around the sidewalk with a hammer telling people to take their masks off unless you have a freaking agenda.
Yeah. When Why do you keep giving me stories that I can't respond to because they're just so insane?
Hallelujah! Holy shit! Where's the Tylenol?
I mean, at best case scenario, the best we can hope for. This was an Asian hate crime. That's as good as it gets.
Yeah. Yeah. That's terrible that's as good as it gets. That's
at worst, Tucker Carlson is accessory to assault.
He should be. Yeah. That's disgusting. Yeah, no, you're looking for trouble if you're carrying a hammer around. I have never been so fervent about a cause that I felt it necessary to pack a hammer with me places and threaten people if they did not agree to the terms of the cause that I'm so fervent about. That's lunacy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it is just disgusting. And Tucker Carlson should be held accountable. I'm not trying to cancel Tucker, just like the person at Chocolati got fired for not wanting to sell chocolate to a Seattle police officer. There were logical consequences for their actions. I'm not a hypocrite in my views. I have a it goes the way for peanut butter. It's peanut butter. It goes across the board. So Tucker Carlson should have logical consequences. But of course, Fox News isn't interested in doing that happen because he's a big fat ratings draw.
Yep, exactly.
And because of capitalism, Jennifer, because the powers that be at Fox News don't want Tucker's audience going to Newsmax or OAN.
Seize the means of production, people.
It wouldn't be a show. We wouldn't have a show if you didn't say that at least once. All right, brief pause for the cause. We're going to go to our last story. We have a lot of news tonight.
Yes.
Hi, Malcontents. I'm David, the Malcontent, and I'd like to talk to you for a moment about supporting independent media. When you support us, you help us bring the before, during, and after. You help us defend the First Amendment. You help us amplify BIPOC and LGBTQIA voices, and you help us hold leaderships at a local, state, and federal level accountable. None of this would be possible without support by viewers just like you. When you become a patron for as little as $5 a month, you help buy technology, safety equipment, and help cover travel expenses so that we can continue to bring you news that you trust. If you can't become a patron, you can do a one-time donation on Venmo, and your dollars will go to the exact same causes. With your continued support, we can continue to amplify BIPOC and LGBTQIA voices while showing the truth on what is happening in the world around us. Once again, thank you. Thank you very much, and thank you for your support. And we're going to go to our last story.
So the OPA released some findings on 15 more investigations related to the protests, and there was some recommendations in there to ban flash grenades. And I know you have some video, David, so why don't you roll that, and I will talk a little bit more about it after.
One just went off about 10 feet away from me. Flashbangs are out. Flashbangs are going. Fireworks going off. Oh, it's spicy. Wow. Yeah. Ears, my bells were on. Don't run, don't run. Fuck me. God damn it. What SPD is doing right now with their bikes is they are pushing the people into the flashbang grenades. Another flash. Right, they are pushing us into the line of fire. Pepper sprays out, pepper sprays out. Flashbangs are out.
Jennifer, before you go into your story, I just want to clarify things because I saw some things in the comments over here. So in the areas where sound is lost in the video, the sound is so loud that what's happening is essentially a microphone is picking up a voltage signal. I know I'm getting a little pedantic and technical and condescending, and I'm sorry. And if that voltage signal, because the sound is so loud, exceeds a certain voltage, it will destroy the circuitry of the recording device. So the recording device mutes in that moment so that it doesn't cook itself. So that gives you an idea of how loud those devices really are. The other thing, Jennifer, I'll say in those clips, 3 things that I missed from September 7th. I never caught before that person repeatedly asking me if I was okay because I couldn't hear them. Like, that's the first time where I was like, whoa. And the other thing on that September 7th, there are 2 incidents of gross misuse of flashbang grenades, including an overhead throw that we showed in that montage where that flashbang is exploding in the air over everybody's heads. Absolute use of force violation in that case. Never caught that before until preparing this segment for you. And with that, I've given that explanation. It's you.
So I'll keep this brief, but the OPA, of course, released the findings on 15 of investigations related to protests that arose as a result of ongoing police brutality and the murder of George Floyd by Derek Chauvin. These reports recommend a total ban on blast balls or flash grenades for crowd control, along with a recommendation of disciplinary action for at least 1 officer and additional training for 7 more. Several reports also document injuries sustained by protesters as a result of these flashbang grenades, including at least 1 serious injury caught on video that prompted OPA to make its recommendation. So the last time a blast ball was used by SPD was during the sweep of Cal Anderson Park and caught on camera during a live stream by Converge Media. This was back in December of 2020. The officer recommended to receive disciplinary action was involved in an incident on August 12, 2020, whereby they drove an unmarked police car aggressively towards a group of protesters near Cal Anderson Park, which was caught on at least 2 videos. That officer also did not cooperate with the OPA investigation. There's also a new case being opened as a result of these investigations regarding an arrest made on June 8, 2020, without probable cause. And if you want to know more about the reports and their findings, there is a story up on our website.
We ran a story, we released it on Friday. It's one of those stories where we do the deep investigation, you write the big long thing, and the 30 people that read it go, wow, that was amazing. Because people see big long articles, they want the Twitter version of it, right? OPA dropped 15 cases. We went through and read all 15 of those cases documents. It was riveting reading.
Hallelujah!
Sure.
Holy shit! Where's the Tylenol?
It was about as riveting for the most part as like watching paint dry, because a lot of it is written in legalese. And anyway, we went through and read all through those 15 reports, so you didn't have to, and we summarized them. One of the things I walked away from, Jennifer, is OPA's view on flashbangs seemed to be the rules should be different, and if the rules were different, we would be saying there was misconduct, but because the rules aren't different, our hands are tied, and so they followed policy.
I just want to point out something interesting, though. Do you know why they made the recommendations and determinations they did about flashbang grenades and disciplinary action and additional training? Because things were caught on camera. Things were caught on camera. What we were talking about earlier, where people didn't want things on camera. Do you know why there's this disciplinary action? Because things were caught on camera.
You know, Jennifer, another incident that happened on August 12th, there was a woman that was arrested for assaulting a police officer that same night before that drive-through incident happened. Yeah. She was looking at $300,000 bail, and she walked out of King County Jail, no charges, the end, because what was caught on camera was that she was actually trying to help a police officer up that had tripped as she was actually trying to run out of an intersection. This was construed by the other officers around her as an assault, and she was dogpiled, roughed up, stuffed and cuffed for assaulting an officer. And had there not been two different camera angles of what happened, she'd be fucked.
What's the F-bomb?
Yeah, absolutely.
This is written. This is written.
You know, and I keep talking about Nicaragua, you know, were people there. You know, I don't want a trespassing charge. I don't want an obstruction charge. When I was in Nicaragua, there were people in Nicaragua that were like, I don't want to get cut up in the jungle into a million pieces.
Yeah. Exactly. Yep.
I don't want to get raped for a week and have my lifeless body thrown on the side of the road 50 kilometers from my home.
Yeah.
Oh, I could just go. I could keep going. I'm not.
Power grid was shut off by Dickless here.
They caused an explosion.
Is this true?
Yes, it's true. This man has no dick.
All right, Jennifer. I don't know what's going on with the group that's doing direct action right now. I really don't. The paranoia level is off the charts. They have infiltrators in their own groups repeatedly, which if I were younger, a lot younger, and running with that crowd, I would be, this is sus. This is all so sus.
Yeah, no, that it is so much paranoia, and paranoia, like, it's one thing to be cautious, but when you get to the point where you're that paranoid, you're not like making rational choices. You're just not.
And who uses tools to create paranoia in resistance groups? Who does that?
Gee, I wonder.
Isn't it the government that does that? Isn't that one of their biggest tools, Jennifer, to break up protest movements, is to put infiltrators in the groups to build paranoia?
Yep.
Isn't this well documented in FBI documents that go back to the 50s and the beginning of the civil rights era? Documents that are now in the public domain. So I'm not just yanking this out of my ass.
Wounded Knee, 1973. There were government infiltrators.
Didn't we just like talk about this when we were covering what happened to Wounded Knee?
Yep.
And what is one of the first things that the government wants to cripple a movement? They want the elimination of the press.
Mm-hmm.
You got people in your group, it's sus. Jennifer, it's friggin' sus. The more I go down this hole, the more sus I think it is.
I mean, like, we can only talk about it so much.
Yep.
Like, they're going to listen to us anyways, but still, like.
Oh, very true, because what do I know? Shut up, boomer. What do you know?
I ain't a boomer. I don't know who you're talking to. Like, no, you guys are being stupid. Make better choices. I say that as both a mother and a history teacher, like a teacher of history, including 20th century history through protest movements. You're being dumb. Stop it.
The Haymarket Rebellion? Oh, we said we weren't going to talk about that tonight. Okay. We're going to save that for another night. All right, Jennifer, we're like 20 minutes over time. So this is the first show we've kind of blown out in a while.
Cinco de Mayo on Wednesday. We're going to talk about Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah, Jennifer is going to drop some hardcore knowledge on Cinco de Mayo. And I know people that look at Cinco de Mayo as like Taco Tuesday and beer night are going to leave kind of going, I need to go look in the mirror.
Bring some tequila with you or a Corona.
All right, Jennifer on Wednesday. Malcontents out.
Malcontent News is a team of journalists, activists, and researchers with 3 key missions. A commitment to show an unfiltered view of the before, during, and after of key events live as it happens. To defend the First Amendment using our rights of a free press. And to amplify the voices of underrepresented individuals including Black, Indigenous, persons of color, and the LGBTQIA+ community. Our team is committed to seeking equality for all and holding those in power accountable. The easiest way to support Malcontent News is to bookmark our website at malcontentnews.com, like and follow us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, and in the Google News app. To provide financial support, you can become a patron, make a one-time donation through Venmo, or link your Twitch account to your Amazon Prime account and use your free subscription to subscribe to Malcontent News. Thank you for supporting independent journalism and for being a malcontent.
You fit the profile. You're the malcontent.
Nobody wants to hear the nonsensical ravings of a loudmouth malcontent.
He said malcontent Antifa. Fuck you. You are the biggest hypocrite on the face of the planet.
I say that you're a terrible reporter. That's what I say.
This is the Malcontent News Police Department. We would like to thank you for watching and for commenting this evening. To those people who aren't of a liberal bent, we are sorry for the interruption. You can go back to mocking COVID, fearing immigrants, and everything else that you are afraid of while saying you are brave. Thank you.
You fit the profile. You're the malcontent.
Nobody wants to hear the nonsensical ravings of a loudmouth malcontent.
He said malcontent Antifa. Fuck you. You are the biggest hypocrite on the face of the planet.
I say that you're a terrible reporter. That's what I say.